Kyle Whittingham took the Holy War up a notch this week. All right. And look, I absolutely love it. I know it really shook things up, got people talking, got some people bothered. I love it, man. It's what makes college football awesome. So obviously there's a ton of build up to this Holy War game. You've got a couple of ranked teams. It's number 23 against number 15. It is the 97th meeting of all time. You've got like Scott Mitchell. I was reading a quote from Scott Mitchell, who's a former Utah quarterback, a radio analyst for the Utes. He says it is the biggest Holy War of all time. All right. So that's someone who's much more respected in this rivalry in the context of it than I am, quite obviously. He is saying it's the biggest of all time. I heard somebody else say biggest since 2009. Okay. 2009, this was number 19 against number 21. BYU won that game in overtime. So regardless of whether it's the biggest of all time, it is still the biggest matchup between these two teams in quite a while. The reasoning that Scott Mitchell gave, and I think it's totally sound, is like, hey, first time that they've both been in a Power Four conference and legitimately like both playing and competing for a conference title and therefore a spot in the college football playoff. That makes total sense to me that would be enough to say, hey, this has a different kind of significance than any one of these matchups throughout the history of the rivalry. Big Noon is going to be there. A lot of extra hoopla because of that. It's a little bit different in that the teams are meeting in October. It has not happened in 58 years that these teams have met in October. It is typically an end-of-the-year thing, a November matchup. But you've got all kinds of storylines with this, man. It is rich with storylines. And that's why, like, it doesn't really even need the 23v15 part of this, right? I'm talking about, like, is this the biggest ever? You don't even really need that part of it. All you need is these two teams and the cultural history that exists there to get everything you need out of a great college football rivalry. And like, that's what makes a great rivalry is you don't need the stakes. Ohio State, Michigan, I mean, look, that's a great rivalry no matter what. But one of the things you think of with that game is that typically they're really good teams. You don't need those stakes to have a great game here between Utah and BYU. That's why I always use this example as like why I love college football and love rivalries. I love the freaking Egg Bowl. How many times has the Egg Bowl been played where it's just pride on the line, dude? But those teams hate each other. They hate each other. Lots of history, lots of differences, tons of hate, crazy things happening. Elijah Moore lifting up his leg and peeing in the end zone and getting a crucial penalty. Like, I love that. I love that. So I want that in my rivalry, right? This one seems to have all of it. And Kyle Whittingham is a big part of it, right? Being a guy starts on the BYU side of things, now is the head coach at Utah, and now is adding to this by like refusing to say anything, not even anything positive, but just like anything directly about BYU or even BYU players at the podium. Okay. Let's listen to this. This is wild to me, man. This is wild. So Kyle Whittingham gets asked a question about Bear Bachmeier. It is a very, man, I have sat through a ton of press conferences in my day, 10 years of covering K-State and the Big 12 full-time. I mean, I have sat through hundreds and hundreds of press conferences. If I've heard this question once, I've heard it a million times, just a softball, hey, I need a quote about the best player or one of the spotlight players on the other team. Just give me that. And Kyle Whittingham was having none of it.
What have you seen from BYU quarterback Bear Bachmeier? And you seen?
You know, I'm just going to focus on us this week, our guys, our coaches. So I'm not going to give much thought on the opponent this week. And so, really, you have to ask them, you know, what they think of Bear. So,
I mean, like, okay, all right, like that is the most softball. That is just, you are beer league. You've got a Miller Lite in one hand, a softball in the other, backwards cap on field 4 at the old Muni, and you just lob an underhand softball up to the plate. And that's how Kyle Whittingham chose to respond to it and answer it. Okay. And shout out, by the way, to my guy, Sean Walker at KSL, who had that clip. And he also has this next clip that I'm going to play for you where he pointed out, it's like, hey, by the way, he's not actually mentioning BYU in this at all when there are opportunities to. But here's another clip of him just talking about the game, and notice what he doesn't say.
Rivalry week, got to go on the road. I guess it's going to be a big noon kickoff will be there, even though it's not the big noon game of the week. They'll be down there, and so we'll have to have a great week of practice as always. Between the two teams, there's a lot of similarities statistically. Both rushing for roughly the same amount, throwing for roughly the same amount, scoring roughly the same amount. Defensively, there's a lot of similarities as well. Both in the upper third of the conference in most of the key stats, and so should make for a great matchup, and away we go.
I mean, it's like BYU is Voldemort, right? Like you can't say it, won't say it. And look, I asked some people and heard this has been going on for a while. Like this is not totally new from Kyle Whittingham, and so I know like a lot of people, I'm seeing it. Some in the chat right now, people taking shots at Whittingham for doing that. Guys, I'm here to tell you I love it. I'm here to tell you I love it. This is great. This is what makes rivalries awesome, man. Like I have known about this for a long time, but I experienced it for the first time. Last year, a little over a year ago, I went to Columbus, Ohio. It was in August, so it was right before football season. But I was hanging out there. I went for a concert, and I had some time to kill. So I actually took the stadium tour of Ohio Stadium, and you get to see all the places where they have the M's crossed out, right? And I'm like, dude, that's such a cool like rivalry thing. And during Michigan week, people will like tape over all the M's in the complex and all that stuff. That's awesome, man. That's why we love this, because there's so much passion. We go do crazy, ridiculous things like to that point, to that extent, just because of the rivalry and how much you hate, dislike, whatever term you want to use, the other side. So I think this is actually this is really fun. This is really, really fun that Whittingham is doing this. And it just sparks some extra conversation. Not that BYU and Utah need that at all. I know that Holy War Twitter kind of like rages on all the time. You don't need a reason for it, but Kyle Whittingham's giving you a bit of an extra reason to get after it a bit. But I think this is the type of thing we're losing more and more of in college football, because more rivalries get stripped away, like Bedlam, because of conference realignment, and we're just heading toward a more professionalized system. Basically, as fast as Tony Petitti can drag us there, we are heading to a more professionalized type of setup in college football. And as much as we can preserve like the culture that has made this sport what it is and why we all love it and why there's so much monetary value in it that's just being recklessly stripped away by a bunch of really greedy people, as much as we can hang on to stuff like this, I think the sport is so much better for it. So I saw that immediately earlier this week, and I was like, oh, this is how rivalry week needs to start, man. That's how you kick it off. Because I think that was on Monday. That was the press conference on Monday. I was like, that is how you kick off rivalry week. Kyle Whittingham, you wily veteran, thank you for this. Thank you. And I know, look, it's not Kalani Sitake, is talking in depth about Dampier and like that. Look, it's not Kalani's style. That's totally fine. But you need somebody to do a little bit of this. And hey, if Kyle Whittingham's going to be, you need like storylines, you need villains. If Whittingham's going to be a villain for this, so be it, man. That's fine. That's awesome. You need those type of characters in rivalry week.